Welcome back to GTN's Kona Week. As a continuation of our love for the Ironman World Championships and all things Kona, I thought we could take a look back through the ages and to perhaps some things that you didn't know about this particular race. And this race has been attracting some of the best athletes in the world to Hawaii for over 40 years. So it has a ton of history and heritage and a ton of stories to go with that. So let's start with a couple that you will likely know already. So the first and the original Ironman was actually held on Oahu in Hawaii in 1978. It was John Collins, a US Navy commander, that came up with the idea of basically trying to settle debate as to who is the fittest between swimmers, cyclists, or runners by combining Hawaii's three biggest endurance events: the 2.4-mile Waikiki swim race, the 115-mile around Oahu cycle race, and the 26.2-mile Honolulu marathon. And that was that. Ironman was created with the first event taking place on the 18th of February 1978 with just 15 competitors, of which Gordon Haller was the first ever Ironman champion to cross the line first in just shy of 12 hours. And the following year also saw just 15 competitors, but by chance, Sports Illustrated reporter Barry McDermott happened to be on the island covering a golf tournament and decided to do a whopping 10-page feature on the event, really putting Ironman on people's radar. As a result, the following year again, in 1980, ABC's Wide World of Sports decided to put this event on people's screens around the world. But some pretty big changes were made over the subsequent years. In 1981, the event moved from the island of Oahu over to the big island of Kona, where it remains today. They also removed the requirement for competitors to come with their own support crew, and that year saw the event's slowest ever finish on record, 26 hours and 20 minutes by 73-year-old Walt Stack. 1982 was an unusual year, though, in which we saw two Ironman World Championships within the same year. Ironman decided to move the event from February to October to accommodate those athletes coming from colder climates. So that meant we had an event both in February and October as they made that transition. In fact, in that February event, we had the event's youngest ever finisher. Rodkey Force, just 14 years old, completed the event in an amazing 13 hours and 36 minutes. Nowadays, though, the event has a minimum age requirement of 18 years to complete. Now, by this point, we already had some incredible athletes towing the start lines, the likes of Mark Allen, Dave Scott, Julie Leach, and so on. But it wasn't until 1985 that we saw our first aero bars being used on course. And that was by Scott Tinley en route to a new course record of 8 hours, 50 minutes, and 54 seconds. 1990 saw the event being bought by Dr. Jim Gill, a Florida ophthalmologist and also Ironman competitor. He went on to found the World Triathlon Corporation, or the WTC. But it also seems that he brought a couple of pretty big changes to the event, one of which was some course changes, the addition of the pit and the natural energy lab. Now, back then, there were actually two transition areas, one at the swim exit and another 6 miles south on Ali'i Drive. And this meant that athletes came in off the bike and started the run by going straight up a steep hill away from the coast and up onto Ali'i Drive before then turning left and heading into town. However, this new addition meant that when you got to the top of that steep hill, you then had to turn right, carry on up a slight gradual uphill, a little bit more, before then turning right, heading back down towards the coast down a rather steep hill, turning around at the bottom, and then coming straight back up and turning left back into town. In Mark Allen's words, by the time you got to 5K into the run, your quads were done. And then we had the Natural Energy Lab, which is still there today, and this was at the opposite end of the run course. This edition took the athletes off the long drag up the Queen K and into the lava fields of the Energy Lab, which apparently was easier mentally rather than having to look towards the horizon of the Queen K. But the Energy Lab is notoriously hot. And now skipping forward to 1995, in which we saw American footballer Darrell Haley of the the New England Patriots, become the largest person to ever complete the Ironman at 6'5" and 300 pounds. And it's estimated that he burnt around 17,000 calories throughout the course of the race. In fact, the average competitor apparently loses around 4% of their body weight throughout the course of the day. Now, for myself, that would mean dropping from around 73 kilos to 70 kilos. Yikes. We also can't forget to talk about some notable athletes and their performances. From 1986 to 1996, Paula Newby-Fraser won 8 times. And actually, her finishes in 1987 and 1990 may not have been on that top spot, but they were still on the podium. And still today, she has the most Ironman World Championship wins under her belt. How about John McLean? In 1997, he became the first wheelchair athlete to complete the Ironman World Championships. Fast forward though to 2015, and Jan Frodeno became the first athlete to win an Olympic Games gold medal in triathlon from the 2008 Beijing Games and win the Ironman World Championships. And in 2018, Ironman organisers had to create an 85 and over age category specifically for Hiroma Inada. He finished in a time of 16 hours and 53 minutes, just a little over 6 minutes before that 17-hour cut-off time, marking him as the oldest ever competitor in the Ironman World Championships. And talking of finishers, since 1989, Mike Riley has been announcing at the Ironman World Championships and is now known more as the voice of Ironman, as he said, "You are an Ironman" to pretty much every single athlete that has crossed that finish line since 1989. I think that deserves an applause in itself. Well, sadly, we will all be missing that this year, along with the various events during Kona Week and the fun that goes with that, such as the annual swim recce, which has kind of become an annual swim race a week prior to the Ironman. The 10K running race, and let's not forget the 1.2-mile underpants run through the streets of Kailua, Kona, which to date has raised well over $300,000 for local charities. Now, if you're missing Kona and all that fun that comes with it, and you're intrigued by these events that I'm just talking about, head on over to our previous Kona videos, our vlog and our behind the scenes videos, and even our Kona beer mile, where you can see all of that. The links for those are in the description just down below. They're pretty good fun. Hopefully you have enjoyed today's video, and hopefully we can repeat this again next year, but from Kona itself. If you have enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up, give it a like, and don't forget to follow us over on social media and give us a subscribe just down below.